Hey, Jose, we need another one for your collection, eh? Hey, look, Boodle! Hey, how come you're not playing hockey, eh? Don't do that.
They're not the canned garbage that you listen to. They're real. They're from Canada. It's super cold, so they have to rock super hard to stay warm. I'll take your word for it.
Confined under the psychiatric care.
Now, I think he just pressed one of these buttons here.
Hi, everybody. Will here with this week's Dog Show Drive. And on this week's Dog Show Drive, we're going to talk about making the right decision.
The right
Okay,
decision.
not everybody, it's hard to make the right decision unless you are informed.
Educated.
Right. So when you're purchasing a car, there's a lot of steps you have to go through.
A lot.
We're also going to talk about a little article that I wrote for Canine Chronicle that tended to get a lot of traction. So we thought we'd delve into it and break it down and try to make people understand, because Yvonne has read it 100 times.
100.
And we talk about this week's happenings in Canada.
Yep.
So all that and more on this
And
week's
more.
edition of
The Dog Show Drive.
Canadian Edition. Hi, everybody. Will here with this week's edition of the Dog Show Drive.
Canadian edition.
I'm Will.
And I'm Yvonne Norton.
You certainly are, Yvonne Norton.
Still am.
So what happened this week, Yvonne? I'm just gonna call you Y. It's too hard. Y.
Yes, it's fine. You calling me by my full name weirds me out a little bit, to be honest.
It does.
With
Yeah,
you.
me too.
What did I do this week?
Yeah, what did you do?
Well, here in Thunder Bay, the Scotties was held. The women's curling. Yes, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Did I go to any games? No. Did I watch it on
No.
TV? Of course. Did I go to the Patch on Friday night? Of course I did.
What's the Patch?
The Patch is like the big bar-ish area that they have for
Like tailgating, curling tailgating?
essentially. I said
Yeah.
it reminded me of a really big shag. And so a shag in Thunder Bay, a shag is a stag and doe kind of
Combined.
Yeah. So it just looked like one of those, and it was it was
A
fun.
diversified party for both.
Yes, exactly. So it
Yeah.
had
Am I allowed to
lots of
say that?
tables. Yeah, I think you can. I don't know. Whatever. So we went there Friday night, which was a lot of fun, and they had live music. Comes on at about 10 o'clock right after the curling is finished. And then it's in the same building as the curling, but it's a separate area, obviously. But they
So
have
you
big screen TV, so you get to still watch all the curling.
You all wear like broom ball shoes so you don't slip on the ice and stuff like that?
No, they took the ice out because it was actually in our curling rink. It was that part, the briar patch was actually in the curling rink, but the actual curling was done on our hockey rink. So
how Canadian are we?
so Canadian. So Canadian. And so my mom volunteers, right? Because she likes to get into stuff for free. So my mom was serving booze in the patch on Friday night. Yeah,
one for me, one for you. One for me, one for you.
Yeah, they made zero money that night. So, but then I had to go pick her up at 1 o'clock in the morning when it closed. So, I mean, I left at a respectable hour at like 10:30 because I was already exhausted and I needed to go home.
Not Mom.
No,
She's in it for the long haul.
Mar hung in there and serving alcohol until 1 a.m. So,
yeah.
But that's what we did Friday.
Civic duty.
Her civic duty, sure. Don't tell her drinking's her civic duty. Good Lord.
Serving drinks at the curling.
Serving, yes. So,
Patch.
And then on Saturday, there was a boat show, and Darren bought a boat.
Oh, so they got him. They got him.
They got him finally. And it's a beautiful boat. It's a big boat. It's a lot larger than the boat that we currently putter in to go fishing. And I'm excited because it has a canopy on it, so Fanny will be nice and shaded while we fish. So, and that's pretty much all I did and work.
That's a lot of weekend.
You
That's a
know what?
lot.
I'm kind of tired still. I'm a little
Yeah, yeah.
exhausted. Yeah. So, how about you, Will? What happened with you this weekend?
Well, there was a dog show. There was a dog show in town.
Yes.
So I went to the dog show on the Friday because
Mhm.
Jill Taylor,
Yes.
friend of the show, Captiva Irish Setters, she entered Irish Setters at the show. And since I'm a co-owner, co-breeder, I was
You were
asked to show up
you were
dressed appropriately with running gear on. It was the first time I've run. It was the first dog I've
Oh.
shown since I've been in the hospital.
I never really thought about that.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't a beagle. Like when I practiced in the front yard being chased by my ego, that was beagle speed. Well, then I had to show an Irish setter, which is a little more than beagle speed. In the
Yeah.
first like it was 2 shows a day there because not 2 shows a day. There was a sporting dog specialty limited.
Oh, okay.
So we showed twice. So the morning show, the judge was much more kind to me and was just down and backing around, and the class was over. But then in the afternoon show, Mary White, friend of the show, she was judging. Well, Mary wanted to keep us going. Oh, let's see them go again and again. Yeah.
You and Jill?
Yes, Jill and I. And I overtook Jill. I was, but you know when like I haven't run in so long, and the impact tremors I could feel it in my teeth because I don't think my coordination is correct yet.
Yeah.
So as I was running, I was trying to talk and as you're running, you're trying to run and think, okay, I hope I don't look like Dick Mean running now. I hope I look like at least close to Will Alexander running now. And you try to be smooth and try to keep it,
Smooth it. Yep.
level. Yeah, I don't know if it worked or not. So, but
I have no
official
video proof of it. No one sent me
oh,
any videos like, "What the?"
what is with this guy?
Yeah. Someone
But
please.
yeah, but she kept us moving, and that's fine. That's it's her. She wanted to see them move again and again and again, and they just kept getting slower, slower, slower until they were both pacing around the ring. And we're hyperventilating beside them. But it was fun.
That's
Our
good.
6-month-old puppy, Jimmy,
Yes.
tight pants, Jimmy.
He looked
He went
good.
puppy and show.
I saw that. He looked good. And then Jill posted that on Facebook and I laughed hysterically because she said, "I always hold their tails too high." And I was laughing at the photo because we all tend to do that, especially with puppies, because you're just trying to get them used to
Yeah,
holding their tail.
stand still for 1
But
second.
the best part was Judy responding in there.
Oh no, Judy Taylor,
I
Jill's
can't believe
mother.
I cannot believe you held his tail that high, but good win.
She always has something to say though.
Got it.
Like
got
even when I first started showing Johnny and Jill posted a picture, I wish he would stick his head out a little further rather than back. I'm like, I want to say, you come and set him up, Judy. See how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's
Friend
just
of the show, Judy Taylor.
yeah, friend of the show, Judy Taylor. But I think that's just a mom thing too, right? Like
It
just
is.
they
It is.
always have to moms always have to come up with that little bit of criticism. I'm just
But
trying
I noticed that
to
on
make you
Jill's
better,
page.
dear.
But then if you start seeing other people's page, like I remember seeing Steve Denard's page when he finished that short hair, and he held the tail that high. She did the same thing to Steve. Lovely
So
picture. You really think his tail should be that high?
So listeners, if
A
you
little
ever
passive
show
aggressive.
to Judith Taylor, make sure you do not hold your dog's tail too high. Please
Right,
hold it at the
exactly.
appropriate height. Oh, that's good.
No, we
So
love her.
you had a good weekend. You survived showing a young pup.
Yeah, I did, but I had to take the rest of the weekend off. So we only entered the one day, and I took the rest of the weekend off, and
Oh, that's all right.
yeah, and I vacuumed.
Good. Oh, I thought you had don't you have a Robo Consuela or whatever? Like your your
Yes, I have Priscilla, Princess of the
Priscilla.
Carpets.
Right.
Yes, but she's not that effective. Like if she goes over a pile of Bouvier hair, it just falls out behind.
It doesn't
So-
recognize it as debris. It recognizes it as a small mountain.
She's really good on the hard floors. She's just
Right.
not the best on the carpet.
Okay. Okay.
And as far as AI goes, you know how many times I've drive a exercise bike here in the living room. I'm supposed to keep exercising. It's a really good place to hang my hats.
Yes.
Anyway, it's she'll get caught under that every time.
Every
So we're
time.
no fear of Priscilla taking over the world.
She's not taking over Milton anyway.
No, no, no.
Nor
Priscilla's
the
not
living
doing that.
room.
Yeah, no. And there's times where I don't find her and she's fallen down the stairs. So how
Oh,
easy is it to cripple the Terminator? Anyway, that was my weekend.
that's good. That's
Yeah,
good. So, all right. Well, we've got some show results to go through.
I have to say one
And
thing though. I'm a big hot dog fan. Like if I go to a hockey game or anything,
yeah, I know.
I love good hot dogs.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I had here in town in Milton. There's Captain Fry's. It's a truck that's
Mhm.
open 24 hours, 24/7 all year long. Not 24 hours. I'm sorry. It's open 7 days a week all year round.
Okay.
And she makes the best hot dog, even better than the hot dogs in front of the AC Center.
Really?
And I
I know you
stopped and
like
had
those
one.
ones.
I do like those ones. You just don't look at the server. You know, full dentition is not a requirement for that job. That's awful, Will.
Yeah, that is
But
awful because my mind went to 10 bad places instantly. So
but
anyway,
Captain Fries, I highly recommend them.
thumbs up. All right. Well, next time I'm in the area, then I expect we're going to
Go to Captain Fries.
Captain
I'll take
Fry's
you.
for
We'll
hot dog.
go get a hot dog.
I love hot dogs. As
A good
gross,
hot dog, you know. Yeah.
I like hot
Bob
dogs.
Whitney has to try every hot dog in every arena. He has to try them all.
Oh,
He
I
has to.
totally agree. I totally
Yeah, he
agree.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. There are some that are yeah.
And I usually ask him, "Well, the hot dog's any good?" He'll say, so I won't go ahead and waste it on the. If
Yeah.
he says they're excellent, I may go try one.
Yeah. I only like mustard on my hot dogs.
I like all three. I like ketchup, mustard, and
No,
relish on it. Yeah.
I just like mustard. I do enjoy onion, but onion does not, well, I don't enjoy onion.
Yeah.
It
I
tends
always
to
tell them because
it
they
tends
ask you, even in the hot dog places in front of the AC center, ask you what you want on it now. They don't let you do it yourself anymore.
right.
And I always tell them the three condiments, but I said not so much that I'm wearing it. So
Evenly distributed. Mhm. Good.
anyway, we better get
All right.
better get
Yes.
going on the dog start.
Yes.
As
Enough.
interesting as we think we are, we have to carry on.
Exactly.
You know, I'm sure they were captivated about our hot dog speech.
Well, maybe that's what we could do. We could do a taste test of hot dogs.
We're not doing it. No, we got in trouble last time with our taste test. No, we're not doing it.
Fine. My
We
ideas are
can go
always
around at each dog
my
show and say this hot dog is, is
my
far
ideas are always
superior
being
than the
shot down.
Kekabeka Falls hot dog.
You would try a hot dog if you were at the old stall arena. I know you would.
Oh, I'm sure I would. I'm sure I would. Anyway, across Canada.
Across Canada, driven by Show Scene Magazine, where every dog takes center stage.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Okay.
That was extra, Lynn. The jazz hands was extra.
Yeah. So out west, Ladies Kennel Club of BC. They on Friday their entry was 232 dogs and judged by Vicky Umpleby of Ontario. Saturday they had an entry of 258 dogs and the best in show judge was Corinne Walker of Manitoba. And Sunday, best in show judge was Grant Townsend of BC, and they had an entry of 254. Now their entries were down.
Yeah, they were down every day by the looks of it.
Yeah, they were down every day and kind of
yeah,
a good bit too. So it's interesting to see why we should maybe ask people about these things. There could be a reason, you know.
Well, if somebody that was attending the show or in the area has a reason for this,
Yeah.
that's that's allowed to be said on air, please message us at dogsfortips@gmail.com I thought, don't we have a Dog Show Drive Gmail yet?
I
I thought
think
we
we
were
do.
working on that.
I think Megan created one for us so that we would have
But is it activated or is she just it should be the
okay,
Dog Show Drive at
you are also
gmail.com.
in those email threads. So why does it always fall to me to remember everything? Yeah. Anyway.
Because yeah.
Yeah, I know you're busy.
I
You're
have a
very busy.
lot going on up here. A lot.
A lot, a lot. So I'll just ask her real quick. But anyway, so yeah, so those entries were down. And then in your neck of the woods where you were, Mr.
Yeah.
Alexander, the Woodstock District Canine Association. And as you said, Mary White was the best in show judge on Friday and Mary now lives in Ohio.
Yes.
And they had an entry of 209. Saturday's best in show judge was Susan Norris Jones of BC, and there was an entry of 271. And Sunday, best in show judge was Gordon Hayburn of Ontario for an entry of 240. Other judges that were at the show as well were Andrea Robbins of Ontario, Linda St. Hilaire from Quebec, Melody Roth, also of Ontario, and Veronica Mercer, Ontario as well. And their entries were down a little bit
Yeah,
too.
their entries are down as well.
Yeah. So I wonder if it's just that weird weekend. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Maybe. Oh, no.
They were all watching the curling in Thunder Bay.
Well, you know what? That could probably be it.
That's probably it.
Probably it. That, you got to watch
Yeah,
the
we can't go. We can't go this year because
curling will be on.
curling. Yeah.
Yes.
The other entries were down and significantly,
Yeah, it's surprising how much. Like the Saturday wasn't too bad, but the other days were down like almost 50 dogs, eh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame. I hope there's no real reason.
Because
I hope we
both of
don't
those
start
clubs
seeing.
they're very well-known clubs.
Oh, Woodstock. Well, it's the only time of year that we get to see Alex and Cheryl Smith. That
Right,
they
that's
still
true.
run that show. I only saw Cheryl this year, but I was only there one day. So
Yeah.
Alex and Cheryl Smith used to be our photographers in all the Ontario shows in
Yeah.
the 80s and mid 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Anyway, carry on.
fun.
Reminders for closing.
Yes. So, Battle River Canine Association, 3 all-breed shows, 6 obedience trials, and 3 rally obedience trials held in Camrose, Alberta, and that's from March 21st to the 23rd. Closing date is next week, March 5th.
March 5th. We're almost to March. Good Lord.
Don't even talk to me about that. I'm still doing T4.
Everything's melting here, too. Like, we had a dump of snow
Here,
last
too.
week. Everything's melting.
Yeah, here, too. It's lots of,
It's not pretty in the backyard.
No. And the show secretary for the Battle River Canine Association shows its Arctic Dreams show services. And then
Nice.
next we have Scarborough Kennel Club, 3 all breed shows, limited breed shows for groups 1, 5, and the UK breeds. And that's held in Lindsay, Ontario. Start date is also March 21st to the 23rd. Closing date is March 5th as well.
Again, March 5th, yes.
Yep. And the show secretary is MJN Show Services for our friend Vicky. And then also in conjunction with that show, there is Club 6 group specialty show for group 6 dogs. And that's
a long-standing club. Club 6 has been around since I was a kid.
Yeah, it's a very old club. And also March 5th is a closing and it's MJN Show Services. And these are brought to you by Canuck Dogs, your source for Canadian canine event information online. Yeah. And then just in the distance, we have out in BC the Chilliwack Show March 27th to the 30th, closing on March 11th. So that's going to be right around the corner. And that's 4 all breed shows, limited breed shows for groups 1, 2, 5, and 6. And then in Quebec, the Club Canine de l'Estrie, and that's in Victoriaville, Quebec, and that's March 28th to the 30th. And that closes March 17th. And those are 3 all breed shows and limited breed shows also for groups 1, 3, 7, 4 obedience trials, and 4 rally obedience trials. So
very nice.
That's that.
Very nice indeed.
that's that. So, yeah. So we're starting to pick up with the dog shows, which is good.
Yep, and it was bound to happen, right? I
Yep.
remember that there was a time when we didn't start until March.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
used to have to go down to Florida circus to try to make some money, us
Yeah.
handlers, and or anybody that wanted to show their dogs in the winter months would have to go down to
Yep.
Florida and show
Yep.
your dogs. But
Yep.
wait until March to start showing your dogs up here.
Well, I was always really lucky because the St. Paul Kennel Club always had that show the very first weekend of
Oh, true. Well,
January. So,
we always had Talmadge here too, but
yeah,
that was
that's
always
true.
a treacherous drive that time of year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, But
Blizzards. So
yeah,
you
in
gotta have to have a.
Florida,
Go ahead.
well, Florida, you could go for the two circuits and be down there for almost a month if you wanted to be. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I've never been to the Florida circuit.
Oh, I have many a memory of the Florida circuit. Kenny
I
Wall and I
know.
going down there.
Yeah, criminals.
Yeah, a bunch of criminals. Yeah,
Yeah. That's a story for another day, eh, Uncle Will?
that's right. Yep.
So, but yeah. And I guess with starting out a new year, people start looking at their vehicles just like Faith is doing, and she was kind of looking at getting a new vehicle for
A
dog
new
shows.
car. Oh, good.
Yeah.
I hope
Yes.
she puts some thought into it because
I
it's not,
do
it's
too.
something that I I don't want to be someone to, I'm never going to push the kind
Right.
of car that I like.
Yeah.
But I would like to instill upon Faith and whoever else, that they have to do their due diligence when
Yes.
purchasing such a long-term piece of
Item.
an
Mhm.
item. Yes, because it could be with you for 4 years or longer. You never know, right?
Yes, 4
Uh,
years. Mhm.
yes. So like, make sure there's lots of things you have to look at when you're purchasing a car. You got to look at first of all the quality of the car. Is it
Yep.
going to last? Is it in your budget? Is it what you really need?
Yes.
Or are you just falling for advertising or
Right.
and there's lots of if you search it, you Google that, you'll see a lot of Facebook reviews, Facebook opinions.
Yes.
Try to avoid using those. It's all great, yeah, Will from
Yeah.
Norton said I should get this car because it does this
It's
and this
really
and this.
not where you should do your research. You need to
No,
go and
no.
look at more factual, more precise, you
Well, you
know,
need to fact check all these reviews,
all the
like
time.
and like and what those dealerships are saying about their car they're trying to sell you, and they're making you all these promises.
Yeah.
And I think you need to look back and see if the last time they sold that car, did they fulfill those promises? Did you get everything you wanted that when you purchased that car that time?
Yeah.
Like I don't mean to be pushy, and I would never try to push my own opinion on somebody else. But I
No.
do think it's important that you do your due diligence and fact check before you make such a 4-year purchase. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
because there's all kinds of things. You need to go visit the dealerships and talk to the salesman. Because salesmen, they'll tell you anything to sell
They
you a
will.
car.
They
They'll tell
will.
you anything for that little check mark. "Oh, yeah, we'll take it." So you need to use common sense, do some fact checking, and look into it before you take that dive. Because
Yep.
remember, as soon as you take that dive, you're probably stuck with it unless something unforeseeable happens. You're stuck with that
For at
purchase.
least 4 years.
Yeah, and
Yep.
we don't need that. We need people to really
Pay
look into
attention.
and make educated opinions on the vehicles that they want to purchase.
This is true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
That was a lot for poor Faithy to absorb. I'm sure she's like, whatever, Uncle Will. This one has a heated steering wheel.
Ooh, it's red.
But uh
Well, with that being
you
said, it's
get but
true.
again, like I don't want to carry on, but if you shortcut because it seems like a good idea at the time and it's going to be cost you less because they're telling you it's going to cost you less. Fact check. Go back and look and see if it costs them more within those 4 years of
Yeah, in
owning
the
that
long
such
run.
that
Yep.
vehicle.
Yep.
Is it gonna cost you a lot to maintain what they sold you? Here ended the lesson.
Very true. Very true. Yes.
I still
So,
have that Westminster crud. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
yeah, you do sound still kind
I
of
do, yeah.
grossy. So,
Anyway, and that's enough of that. But I hope she gets a nice car, and I
yep.
hope she just doesn't choose it because it's pink or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or it's, seems to be the popular choice.
right.
Yeah.
And
So,
and and only on popular choice on certain just because your neighbor hates such cars, still look into that car and see if their
yes.
hate is unfounded.
Right.
Okay? Don't just dive in. Oh, I'm not getting that car because my neighbor thinks it sucks too. So no, no, no.
Make your own
Do your
decision.
own. You're right.
Your
Make your
own
own
research.
educated opinion.
Yes.
Cars, cars are
We are
important.
there's a wealth of information out there. Make sure you read the factual information.
And not just Captain Underpants in the basement. Okay.
No. You
And
got
his
to read
parents' home.
past, as that one comedian says, you got to read past the hashtag. There's a whole book behind the hashtag. Do
Exactly.
your homework. Finish your homework.
Yeah,
That's what you got to
because
do.
you don't want to be stuck with a lemon.
Nope.
Okay. Just because it looks good at
Or an
first and
orange.
it looks good, it only looks good because it's different. No,
Not
no,
necessary. Not necessarily.
exactly.
Yes.
Anyway, let's carry
So,
on.
yes. Oh, I want to talk about your article that you wrote because I think it it incited
Uh-oh.
it incited some discussions
It did, and I
online.
didn't mean for it.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I wrote it because somebody asked me about
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to
So I,
stop you so let everyone know. So you had an article that was in the Canine Chronicle, so you can go online
yes,
and look it up, and it's called B-List Exhibitors. Do they exist?
right.
So carry on. So you wrote it because someone asked you to,
Yeah,
or asked
somebody
you about
somebody
it.
asked me a question about one me. The topic was B-list exhibitors, and I wasn't really sure what they really meant by B-list exhibitors. So I did my due diligence and I asked ChatGPT what a B-list exhibitor was, because they'll tell you anything,
Yeah.
and as far as chat, I have it right here in front of me. So ChatGPT, what is a B-list exhibitor at a dog show? So I was being specific.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I don't know, I can't do their voice, but anyway, a B-list exhibitor at a dog show typically refers to someone who is not a top tier or highly ranked exhibitor in the competitive dog show world. The term B-list is borrowed from the entertainment industry when it refers to celebrities who are not as famous or as well known as A-listers, but are still well known enough or respected in their field. In the context of dog shows, a B-list exhibitor might not consistently show the top winning dogs or may not have the same level of recognition or success as the A-list exhibitors or handlers, those who regularly win major events at dog shows. However, they could still be highly skilled and have competitive dogs. Essentially, the B-list exhibitor is an established but not elite figure in the world of dog showing. Now, before everybody jumps down my throat, that was what ChatGPT told me. That wasn't
I
Will Alexander's opinion. That's what they took, because I punched it and I wanted to see what came up.
yeah,
And I went further along in the article. Did you read the article?
I did read the article
Okay.
for the 100th time. I
You
actually
read it a
read this
hundred
one.
times? Well, good for
No,
you.
this is a hundred
I
times
won't
I've told
bother
you I've
you.
read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But see, I believe there are three different stages to any exhibitor's career. And the first stage is never good unless you get extremely lucky. And there are cases where people get
Oh, for
extremely lucky
sure.
and their first dog is a best in show winning wonderful dog. Like I remember Mr. Conrad, who ended up owning Piper and Ricky
Yeah.
Cocker and some other dogs. His first dog was Bobby Cocker. It
Yeah.
was Nickelodeon's Bobby McGee. We call him Bobby Cocker. And I met him at the Muskoka Dog Show, and he was showing it himself. And all I did was, and Bobby was a very handsome puppy even
He
then.
was.
He really caught your eye. But I saw Mr. K struggling because the collar was down around his shoulder, and then Bobby was taking advantage of Mr. K at that point because it was easy. So I stopped and I said I just fixed the collar, put it where it was supposed to be. I told him to keep it a little taut there so that he knew exactly where the signal was coming from.
Oh, Will's
No.
inter
And then I get a phone call from Mr. K asking me if I would consider showing his
showing.
dog
Yeah.
for him
I
because
remember
I was
Bobby
so
Cocker.
nice. And well, but then again, he did a lot of background checking before he asked me. He wasn't sure who this guy was that stopped and fixed his collar and carried up, tell him to go carry on his way and keep the dog here. And anyway, he did a lot because he was a very good businessman, Mr. K. So he did a
Yes.
lot of fact checking, background checks to see. And then he found out that I was, I did well in my field, so he hired me.
Yep.
And we had a great career, and that was their very first dog. And he ended up wasn't there a one or two sporting dog. He did a bunch of best of
Yeah.
shows.
Yep,
He
he
did
did.
very well,
He
and
won
that
a
was
best in
their
show on my birthday. I
yeah.
remember that.
But that was their very first dog. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
I don't want to say they got lucky, but they didn't get lucky because again, because of who Mr. K was, that he never went off and bought things haphazardly. He did a background check and he came up with Kane Nickel, and that's
Yep.
how he got
Yep.
Bobby McGee. So
Yep.
he started right as high as he possibly could in his area and bought the best dog he could possibly purchase from that breeder, and he was right.
Yep.
Like he may himself not have known how good Bobby was, but he relied on his background checks and his
Yep.
his own research.
Yes.
Anyway, I jumped off the page there a bit,
So
but
that's the first tier coming in and, just
but 90% of people with their
yeah.
first dog are not competitive. They have a lot to
Not
learn.
yeah.
Usually they start off with the wrong dog. They love their dogs, yes, but they weren't diligent enough when they purchased the dog. They like my parents, they bought a dog out of the Star One ads. Like our
Oh,
very
wow.
first dog was a House of Puppies Irish setter, and we couldn't even finish her. So people get trapped.
Yep.
They want something, it becomes impulsive, and they do it. But then you spend the next 5 to 10 years of your career trying to correct that original mistake,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have. You've got to be smart enough to realize that was a mistake and carry on and try to get better mentorship.
Improve on it. Yep.
Yeah. So 90% of people start off there. They start off not competitive because of the quality of the dog, the quality of their amount of
Their
experience,
skill level. Yeah.
their skill level, exactly. And then the next step is stage two, becoming competitive. As your knowledge increases,
Yep.
you start figuring things out. You start things start making sense to you at dog shows, and you decide that you want a better dog. So you start researching or going like if I wanted a Doberman back in the '70s, and I watched Dobermans in the '70s, I would be a fool not to go talk to Brian and Pat right in my
Oh, yeah.
area.
Yeah.
I'd be a fool. I would just be
Brian Casey
asking
and
for
Pat
trouble.
Blanky. Yep.
Yeah. I'd be
Yep.
asking for trouble because even if they didn't have puppies at the time, they would direct you somewhere that they approved
Yeah.
of,
Or
recommended.
or a dog. Yeah. Or one of their dogs was used on a dog, and
So
so
you're like, I have a section of this, like this, I have a section about this in my seminar. I call it Standing on the Shoulders of Giants,
yeah.
because that's what you're doing. You're trying to find a giant in your breed and you want their help.
Yep.
Because if you don't, if you go in there and just think, oh, I can do this, you're in for a world of hurt. And it's not because the judges don't know you or this or that or the handler beat you. It's because you weren't ready. You did not have the right exhibit, and you weren't. Say what you want, professional handler or owner handler. If you are not at least skilled enough at showing that dog or that
Yep.
breed, if you walk in the ring with another handler, you walk into so if you're brand new in this sport and you have a good English setter, and Yvonne Norton has the same quality English setter and she's got 30 years experience, and she walks in there and you've got 10 hours experience, 9 times out of 10 Yvonne's going to beat you, you know,
Yep.
because her dog is going to be better prepared mentally, physically, everything, and Yvonne is going to be more calm in the ring while showing her dog. So that was one of the comments I got. Well, it's supposed to be about the dog. Yes, it's about the dog, but it's a human nature sport. It is canine figure skating. It's a subjective sport, and the judge has 2 minutes to judge your dog out there. 2 minutes. There's 10 dogs in the ring. That's about a 20-minute class. Two
Yep.
minutes of those, 2 minutes of that 20 minutes is yours. If you
Yeah.
spend that time tripping over your shoelace or the lead's down by your dog's shoulders and he's dragging you around the ring, you're not doing a very good job selling your dog. And I know
No.
you're gonna say, "Well, that's mostly about the dog." It is about the dog. But again, that judge has 2 minutes. So if I'm looking at your English setter for 2 minutes and you're struggling and crawling underneath the dog trying to fix a tire when the tire's not broken, and then you turn and look at Yvonne, who's the same quality dog, and the outline is there all the time, it's gonna happen. I hate to
Yep.
say it. Again, it doesn't
Yep.
matter that Yvonne's a professional handler or a breeder handler or an owner handler. If she has those at least those skills to keep the outline and the timing correct for the judge watching you, 9 times out of 10. So, but the second stage, people are starting to figure this out. They're starting to figure
Yep.
out that they need to get competitive and they need to enhance their knowledge about the sport. Then the third stage is competitive all the time.
Yeah.
And we all want to get to that point. And that comes down to what dogs you exhibit, and if you're breeding your own dogs at that time, how good you are at breeding your own dogs. Because there's a horrible disease that has pestered this sport for 100 years.
Yeah.
It's a disease that no one can. Some people never get over. There's no
No.
cure to it, and that disease is kennel blindness. And if you are kennel blind to your own dogs,
Yeah.
that
And
is that's
maybe for some of our newer listeners, we should explain kennel blindness. We're not talking about the dogs being blind. We're
yeah,
talking
sorry.
we're talking about the breeder or other people within their circle that look at these, subjects and don't um they're not evaluating them with a critical enough eye to keep themselves competitive.
They're not being realistic enough. All they
Yes.
see is sunshine when they look over their dog,
Yeah.
which is great. You love
Yeah.
your dog, but you've got to keep it in perspective how good your dog
Yeah.
is compared to the
Yeah.
other dogs in the ring.
Yeah.
And there are so many people make so many excuses. And it's not just new owners, and it's not just breeder owners. Professional handlers too. They get
Yes.
kennel blind.
Yep.
I've known many a handler that once a dog walks into their truck, that dog goes from being a 2 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 because it's in their truck and all of a sudden it should be winning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that disease it doesn't just pick on the weak. It picks on everybody.
Yes.
And you
It
have to
does.
overcome it. You have to keep things in perspective and show your dogs and present your dogs
Yeah.
and know what you are showing.
Yeah.
Like, as a handler, I tried there's many times I'd walk in the ring, and I'm hoping I was learned enough that I would go, "Okay, that dog up there is my competition. That's the dog my dog has to
Mm.
be because that's the dog I think is the best dog in the ring or close to being as good as the dog as I'm showing." Now, we all have egos. I think ego gets us into this sport.
Yeah.
So sometimes our egos get the better of us, and we don't put things in perspective and be realistic about the judge's decisions sometimes because we looked over and remember it's dog shows are based on moments, 2 minute long moments. We look across the ring and I see Yvonne's English setter and it looks like crippled and cross-legged and sitting down and my dog's perfect. How on earth did she beat me?
Yep.
The judge turns around and there it is perfect again. But I didn't see that. I saw it when it looked horrible. And I thought, "My dog doesn't look horrible like that dog. I should have won every time." So
Yeah.
it's in my class, I preach outline and timing, and that's what the sport in my eye is based on. It's based on your dog's outline and the handler's timing.
Yes.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
the third stage is being competitive all the time and knowing what's in the ring and knowing how to prepare your dog, know how to show your dog, and know how to show a dog, You have to like, it's not we again, we all it's all about the dog, but you're walking in the ring with people that have spent their entire lives showing dogs, be it
Yeah.
professional or be it just breeder owners, handlers.
Yeah, exactly.
They've given up a lot. They know exactly what they're doing. And you go in there brand spanking new and you're bound to make mistakes. So
And the other edge that, that the handlers and also the breeder owner handlers or breeder handlers have too is that they also look at a judging panel and they will know, oh, they really like this judge, they're a movement judge, or this judge really likes, this type, or as opposed to, that type. And they will pick and choose who they will show to. I do it quite often. Well, I think it's
Well,
just
that's
because
part
I'm
of
lazy too,
researching,
but
right? It is.
exactly,
And
exactly. See what
you don't
kind of
want to
dogs
waste
they
your
put
money
up.
on someone that's not fond of your type of dog, really.
No. Yep.
And then,
Exactly.
but then again, it depends what's there. Like I've won with dogs I've shown. My dogs have won groups and our judges that in stronger competition haven't even looked at them. But then we get into a weaker competition where certain dogs don't get through, and my dog has risen to the top because
Yep.
it's all about what's in
Who
front
sh
of you.
who shows up? You can only judge them against what's
Right,
there, right?
right. And
Yeah.
as a judge, it's sometimes you walk into a class, and not always. There's good classes too, but you walk into a class and you're stuck, and you have to sort through things because you start trying to make dogs what they're not. Well, you can't. You can't make them what they're not. You can only sort them out,
Mhm.
and that's not a bad thing because there's always good things on dogs.
Yep.
That's your job to find those good things on dogs and sort them out in the best way you possibly can.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean and let's face it, some people, because it's a human nature sport, put different emphasis on certain things in dogs.
Well, that's
Like if a dog has like one of my favorite stories is Pat Miller.
mhm.
She puts up a lot. She when she was judging, she put up a lot of whippets. She's a whippet breeder, and she gave a
Yep.
lot of whippets to the group,
Yeah.
which is not common for a breeder to do.
No, usually we're
And
more
they're a
critical
little
of our
harder
own
on their
breed.
breed.
Yeah.
And in my eye as a youngster back, I was like, that doesn't even seem the same type.
No.
Why is this whippet? Why is she rewarding all these whippets? So I asked her, and she said she's bred whippets for 30 plus years, and the hardest thing she had when she bred them was producing fill in the front. That means a good fill in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
front, and so when she found it on a whippet, she rewarded it because she knew how hard it was to
To
produce.
produce. Mhm.
So she rewarded it, and so that makes perfect sense,
It does make
like
sense.
but people have to know that because they may think, oh, it wasn't shapely enough, it wasn't good enough going around the ring. But different people put different emphasis, and as an exhibitor, you need to realize that. Like if Yvonne Norton is judging, you have to realize what she wants in an English setter. You want to figure out what she wants. Now, it may take a few times of hit and miss showing to her to figure it out, and also you've got to prepare to what's in the ring because she can only deal with what's in the ring.
Yeah.
But you will get some sort of idea of what she likes.
Yeah.
And if that's what
Mhm.
your dog is, then go back to the well every time. But anyway, back to this B-list exhibitors. Another disease that the sport has, and we sort of touched on it, is resistance.
Yeah.
Stephen Pressfield wrote this book called the War of Art, and the War of Art was resistance, and that means that you weren't putting in the time.
Mhm.
You weren't putting in the time to do your dog or your art, do due diligence it
Yep.
deserved.
Justice. Yeah.
And that means, like, when I see people at dog shows doing the dog's toenails, the dog's screaming on the table because they're doing dog shows, doing their nails at the shows, or
At
they're
the
trying to
show.
groom them at the shows, you suffer from resistance.
Yeah.
Now that could not be your fault because if you have a full time job and you're working all week long, that's the only time you have to do and as long as you understand that Yvonne has had her English setter ready for the last 6 months, like it's ready all the time.
Yeah.
As handlers or as breeder exhibitors, you try to keep the dogs that you're showing in condition so that you don't have to do an overhaul each week. Because as a judge, you can tell when dogs are just overhauled that week. You get them ready for
Oh,
the
for
dog
sure.
show. You can
Yeah.
tell. And you can tell the dogs that their owners
Yeah.
have put time into them, and you appreciate it because it's almost as if they're doing it for you. So you
Yeah.
appreciate their work. So resistance is another disease that affects our dog show community, and if you don't overcome resistance, again, someone else is going to beat you. And not saying their dog is always better, but on two dogs being equal, one walks in the ring in
Mint
athletic
condition.
condition, the other one's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. That's
It's
exact and
human
that
nature, folks.
yeah. And
Anyway,
do you
we're off
and
topic again.
well, it is, but it all has to do with
Well, I'm trying to explain
yeah,
myself.
with the
So, in my eye, what I came up with after doing the research about the B-list exhibitor a B-List exhibitor is not really someone that's a lower tiered. It's someone who has time restraints to this part of their life.
Yeah, I
They
would
have
say
so
I'm a B-list exhibitor for sure.
because you've got a busy job, you've got a family, and you show when you can show.
Yep. And
So
limit and
when
like
you do show up, you
I'm
want to
winning.
win and you're competitive.
Yes. Yep.
And
Exactly.
that's what I came up with. I came up with the biggest exhibitor is just someone that's not at the shows all the time.
Right.
But be very wary because when they show up, you better up your game because they've been waiting for this opportunity because they choose a few shows that they want to attend, and the good ones, they get ready for those few shows that they want because they're not going to
Yeah.
waste their time and just show up at a dog show because it's there. So, B-list exhibitors, I don't think that's a fair term because it sounds like it's one tier low. It's not. It just to me, it's just a time restraint exhibitor. Someone
Mhm.
that has like doesn't attend as many dog shows as we do. I just wrote another article for Chronicle. I forget what I called it, but I used a hockey analogy because there's records being broken all the time now in dog shows.
Yes.
Like there was a goaltender in the NHL that had the most wins of any other goaltender. That sounds really impressive, right? He had the most wins of, and there's been a lot of goaltenders.
Yeah.
He also had the most losses than any other goaltender. So what does that tell you? He played in a lot of
A lot of
games.
games.
He played in a
A lot
lot of
of
games.
games. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to throw records under the bus or anything like that because
No.
I've got dogs that have records as well. But also, it's not the end all be all. I think it's more important to have your dog in shape every time and showing as best you can every time. You'll enjoy the sport more if you've
Yes.
done your due diligence to show your dog and you're doing your dog justice. Don't be the reason your dog loses because you walk in the ring and there's a lot of good dogs out there. So your dog, just because he came out of your truck doesn't mean he's the best dog of the dog show.
No.
He could be one of the best dogs of the dog show, but there's a lot of good dogs at the dog show. So
Yeah.
do your due diligence and do that dog justice.
I
And
think
even if you can
also
only show part-time, still
yeah.
do your dog justice.
Yeah. And I think the other side to look at that is as an exhibitor, whether it's your first dog or you're a seasoned person, the best thing I think you can do for yourself is to learn to appreciate other breeds.
And other dogs.
Yes,
Like other
because
dogs
of
that
that
beat you.
fact alone, like understand, like, you know, you have a great beagle, I have a great English setter. We're going to compete against each other. You're going to win sometimes, I'm going to win sometimes. And the times I don't win, don't sit there and be like, "Oh, you can't." You've got to enjoy the moment that you're in the ring because if you're not
Oh, for
enjoying
sure.
doing it, then there's no point in doing it. And like winning is, as anyone who knows Will and I, winning is important to us
Mm,
and winning is fun, but losing is not, the end of the world. And
no,
appreciate your competitors because there's nothing. First of all, there's nothing better than winning in a highly competitive group, but you can't appreciate that unless you know the competition that you have
right.
around you and knowing you know this day you won, but another day you may not win. But I always found that, and that's the one thing I always found to be my best wins or some of my proudest wins were like if I went group 2 to you in a group because I knew how strong that group was and I was still in the money, basically.
Right.
And those are the moments and the joys that you should take away with you, not, we
And it
lost
all
today.
comes down to that person at the center of the ring too. And
Mhm. Yeah.
like I said earlier, they put different emphasis. It could even be like at best in show level, it could even be a breed preference. It can be.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
human nature.
Yeah.
It's you walk out there and you've been a boxer guy your whole life, and a beautiful boxer walks in there, and even though there's as good a beagle or as good a Irish setter, as good a
Whatever.
Bouvier, your eyes can get drawn to what you love the
Yep.
most, why you got into this sport to begin with,
Mhm.
because you wanted beautiful boxers, you loved a boxer. So when you see one, It's human nature, and you can't
It
get
is.
mad at people over that, t
Yep.
especially when it's a quality animal, you know?
Exactly. So
Um,
I think we all just have to remember, enjoy the whole process.
and sometimes it's difficult because,
Yep.
you're in the heat of passion and you're fighting and
Yep.
you wanna win and you think, "Oh, how did that possibly beat me?"
Yep.
Well, I Garrett Lambert used to make me sit back and look. "Sit back and look at that dog, William. See what you tell me what you see." And I would try to tell him what I saw, and then he would correct me, "Well, I see this and I see that, and that's a beautiful animal, and today
Yep.
was its day." So,
And that's sometimes just all it is. Because you never know, the next time you go, even under the same judge, and if you're campaigning a dog, it often happens that somewhere down the line, later on in the year, same two dogs are in
oh,
the ring. Could be a
exactly.
totally different outcome.
Well, because you don't know what's going through their head because they see these 2 dogs, and that judge goes, "Oh, these 2 dogs, I love both these dogs," and they're waiting for one to stick out more
Yeah.
than the other on
Yeah.
that day.
Yep. Exactly.
The
So,
best in show is probably the easiest class to judge because you usually have 7 beautiful
yep.
animals, and you really can't go wrong. Breed level is the hardest to judge because
Yeah.
you gotta get that right, and there's different choices, different types in there, different styles. Not even say different types, different styles,
Yeah.
and you're sorting through them and trying to come up with what you feel is the best. And
Best
some people are gonna be
representation of the
happy, some
breed.
people aren't gonna be happy, but
Yep.
that's just it's nothing personal. Like as a judge, I try to judge very selfishly, like Tom Horner said in his book, judge selfishly because
Mhm.
you're judging for yourself then.
Yeah.
You're not there. I'm not there to make Yvonne happy. I'm not there to make whoever happy. I'm trying to make Will happy, doing the best job I could possibly do. And I'm gonna make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And you'll be
Yes.
driving home thinking, oh, that English Terry Yvonne had, maybe I should have. I mean, use that dog. That was a beautiful dog. So you
Mhm.
do make mistakes and they do double overthink things.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
also part of human nature too, right?
it is,
And
that's
and
from
you only get better with more experience.
and for the people that get angry at judges, there's no recipe. Like, if all it took was me to punch in, "There's my Irish setter, that's the best Irish setter. Now run it through and see what Siri comes up with. Oh, I win best show." That's not how it works.
No.
It's
No.
human nature, and different things come into play. But
Yep.
back to the B-list exhibitors, do I think they really exist? They only exist on a level of time that they're available for our sport. Because
Yep.
we have people that are lifers that are at every dog show that's possible to be at, and there's other ones that we see once or twice a month. I have a woman in my class that breeds Great Danes, and she only shows up once in a while at dog shows, mostly specialties, but she'll show up to bigger dog shows. And let me tell you, when she shows up, we all know she's there because she usually dominates that ring, and we all go, "Did you see that Great Dane? Where's
Yeah,
that been hiding?"
exactly.
It's been hiding at her farm because she doesn't go to all the dog shows because she's busy at her farm.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
she
Yep.
produces beautiful Great Danes. So when she
Yep.
shows up, we
Yep.
notice.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So
But
they're into that lesson too.
there's that. So
It
so
was a day full
after
of lessons.
after the hashtag, there was a whole article explaining why and what a B-list exhibitor was.
Right.
Is.
And don't take offense to it. Read it with an open mind and look at
Yeah.
the conclusion. I got so many bad comments on some of them. Not because you could tell they just read the highlight. Oh wow, how dare he? How dare he call us B-list exhibitors? We're as good as anybody. Read the article.
Article. Yes.
God.
Yep.
Anyway.
That was funny. It made it made me laugh though. It did make me laugh because I did know because you told me about everybody with the comments prior to me reading the article, and then I was like, okay, I'll go and read it, and it was, oh yeah, this totally makes sense, and that's the first thing. And when I read it, was like, well, I'm a B-lister, easily, I'm a B-lister, right? So,
But
so
I enjoy reading the comments. So and I enjoy creating conversation like that. And no one got out of hand. No one got, you know,
yeah, yeah,
rude about it. They're just questioning things. But there was one comment that was, "Oh, I love all these cute comments. You can tell they only read the highlights. So,
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's great. So
yeah.
there. So the other, what else do we have for this week here, William? Ooh, we have we're gonna do a little trivia. Remember?
Trivia. We have trivia.
So we have
Yeah.
a photo
The
that's
dog's gonna put it up right
put it up
now.
now.
Take a
And
good look at the photo.
take
Keep
a
it on
good
your
look.
screen for a while. And you guys, you people on podcasts, sorry.
Well, we could tell the breed that's in it.
Yeah.
It's the German Shepherd. So
And no more.
No, that's it. That's all you get to know. So you need
if you're just listening to us on the podcast, you might if you want to be eligible to win a toque, the dog show drive.
We'll post the photo also on our Facebook page.
All right.
Because Megan is on it. She's on our Facebook page.
And we'd like to know, we'd like you to tell us who the dog is.
Yep. Who the handler is.
Who the handler is.
And
if you can, who the owner of the dog is. And one other, which I had a problem with, who was the judge? Now, I don't think we're going to all get all that, but whoever gets the most.
Yes. We'll
whoever
have a
gets
prize
the most
for
of
you.
those questions right will get a dog show drive toque sent to you.
Yes.
There'll be a knock on your door, and there will be Yvonne Norton with a toque, just like Sidney Crosby in his jerseys when he's giving out season's tickets in Pittsburgh. Yvonne will show up at your door with a toque.
Show up at the door with a toque. Because I don't wear toques. And
you don't need a toque. You have your own built-in weather resistance.
Shut up.
You shut up.
You shut up. So.
All right. So
yeah, that's it for this week, I think.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like this. And if you don't tell anybody.
Nope.
Don't spread the news.
Don't spread the
But then if you have any ideas for us, please send them to dogshowtips@gmail.com until we find out the Dog Show Drive email address. Because Megan, who does our research, she has it, but we have yet to absorb it.
Exactly. And our Facebook page, there is stuff on our Facebook page now, so you can go and look at our Facebook page and you can comment there if you like.
How's our TikTok doing? How's our social media going?
How's our TikTok doing? Have we done anything for the TikTok? No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
The TikTok is supposed to be.
Stay tuned.
TikTok's supposed to be you and me, buddy, and it's not. I'm terrible at it. So,
yeah. Well. We're funny, but we forget to record it.
The stuff before the show is gold.
It's gold, Jerry. Gold.
Jerry, gold.
Whole team. Cups round.
Yes.
The jars round. Why can't it be all round team? Anyway. So that's it for this week, folks. Take us away, Yvonne.
Everyone driving to a dog show this weekend or to an eye appointment in Winnipeg for your daughter, drive safe.
Could happen.
Seatbelts on, glasses on. Till next week. Take care.
Stay safe, guys.
Clark, stop scratching.
Because you never know who might come out. Okay, I can't find that thing you want me to find.
You press that and more comes up.
Yeah, there's no crying in dog shows.
You're not getting anything good here, dog.